Hey guys, how's it going? Jam here, and welcome to the second round of the Formula Rookie European Championship from Catalunya National, a track that I actually know really rather well. I've driven it so many times on Forza Motorsport, it's genuinely one of my better tracks on that game at least. So hopefully, going into this practice session, it will be a case of building speed and learning the car at the track rather than learning the track itself and crashing out a lot. But, you know, this is me we're talking about, so who knows. While you do see quite a few bloopers, as, yeah, that was my first flying lap attempt, and that was turn 1. So yeah, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing, but while you do see a lot of my bloopers and drifts, apparently, I do have to quickly apologise for a complete blooper that I made myself in the last episode by completely forgetting to do what I'm doing right now, which is recording a commentary. I did try to briefly explain in the comments. I'm actually away at the moment. I came down just after Christmas, and I'm here until well into the new year. And I don't have my wheel with me. I have managed to bring my Xbox and my laptop, so I can do some sort of video things. But yeah, I can't record any Project Car stuff. So I've got this episode and 2 more of this series pre-recorded. And my plan was to do it all like that, and then do all of the commentary in a live com format, like a post com format like I'm doing now. But yeah, somehow I managed to forget to do any commentary whatsoever. So that's a thing. I do apologise for that, and as you can tell, I've not done it again because you're listening to me, and hopefully I won't do it again at all in this series. And later on in the series I will be going back to some a mixture of live com and post com. I really haven't quite decided on which is easier to do at this moment in time. But back to this episode, and we jump to qualifying now, because fortunately there wasn't too many incidences in practice. I hadn't quite got a good lap in just yet, but I wasn't too far off the pace, and this, with 6 minutes to go, would turn out to be my fastest lap in qualifying. Going green through the first sector is a pretty standard sector. I mean, you've seen that I have made mistakes through there, but it's not actually too bad. A quick flat out section up the hill, and this is the bit that was really catching me out. It's a really fast quick change of direction, and it's right at the top of third gear. You don't know quite whether to change up or not, and there's often, if you don't get it right, there's just a sheer lack of grip through there because it's going so quickly through such quick changes of direction. But I did manage to do it quite well on this occasion. Lost a little bit of time through the hairpin. You can see at the top of the delta there it was flickering red. And I pulled it back into the green as you go around the long right-hander. Not brilliant under braking. You see there dashing black again, red again, and still here losing a little bit of time to my previous lap, but I get a good exit. It's still well in the green as we come around the final corner. It's just flat out here to the line, and we are going to improve, but we've got to wait to see how much by, because it's a really long run down towards the finish line. But there it is, and we go provisionally into 7th position. However, by the end of the session, that had indeed dropped me to 10th, which I think is the same position that I qualified in the last race. So this is certainly not a difficulty setting that is going to be easy, but I do seem to be a lot stronger in the race itself. If the last round is anything to go by, I've just got to manage to not get penalties and not run out of fuel. So yeah, so now we move on to the race itself, and the replay camera is back. Do let me know what you think of the replay cameras. I did have one person say in the last episode that they would prefer one or the other. All of these are also pre-edited, so I can't actually change anything for the next few videos, so that will I just have to stay like that. But yeah, I'll certainly see what I can do. I'll get a pretty good start here at Catalunya, diving down in between 2 cars into turn 1, and there's someone going very slow on the inside as well, so we can go around the outside of them. We do still have a car on the outside though, but we just about managed to clear them as we go into turn, what's that, 2 I suppose, on the left-hander. I wasn't sure if they were still there or not, so I did go quite wide, but I did hit the apex and cover up the hill quite nicely. And now we've got a little bit of a gap to settle into. We've actually made up 3 positions since the start of the lap. So provisionally in qualifying we went to 7th and dropped to 10th by the end of the session, and by halfway around lap 1 we're up into 7th, and that was something I was not expecting to do, go around the outside of the hairpin on lap 1. The light blue car there just seemed to brake really rather early, and then on the exit he took a rather bizarre line and jumped over the curb as we went up the left kink. So yes, very unusual behaviour indeed. So that's up to 6th place, and we're already halfway up the grid, and it doesn't seem like we're going to be showing any signs of slowing down. So you've got the red and blue car in our sights, and we did also see, I was hoping to comment in the last race that slipstream seems to be ridiculously OP in these cars. The huge great long straight, start finish straight at Algarve, you could gain nearly 10 miles an hour if you were sat in the slipstream, which really made a difference. Obviously your lap time and ability to overtake or defend. I do go a bit deep into turn 1 this time though, perhaps not braking earlier than as early as I should have done, as I did have a little bit of slipstream there. I was obviously carrying a little bit more speed, and you should brake earlier to compensate, but yeah, I wasn't used to running into there with slipstream. And now we've actually got the light blue car behind us challenging us for position. I run slightly wide at the top of the hill. The light blue car has indeed overtaken us, so that's back down into 7th place as we come through the very tricky quick section. We're going to have a go up the inside of the hairpin, and we do manage to get that position straight back off him. So that's the same car we've overtaken up the inside and round the outside of the same corner 2 laps in a row, which isn't something I've only just noticed actually. I didn't twig before. So yeah, we're back up into 6th, and we're back to chasing the red and blue car. So we're exactly where we were a lap ago, although potentially slightly closer, trying to take a little bit of a different line around the chicane. So into the final corner, we was hoping to get a bit of a better run on the AI in front of us, but not really making any gains. The AI were really rather decent around that last corner, so it wasn't ever really quite close enough, I don't think, to make a move into turn 1, although it did manage to sit in the slipstream for most of the time, which was decent. I do have a look at going up the inside into turn 1 on this occasion, but as you can tell, I was just not close enough. So once again, we take a slightly wider entry line so we can cut back on the exit, and we're right up behind him now, and we go to the inside up the top of the hill where we got overtaken on the last lap. We're actually going to overtake somebody else on this lap. We actually forced the red and blue car a little bit wide there, but he does manage to hold it together. I have a little bit of a moment myself through the S's, and that is me up to P5, and it's our teammate up next as we go and set a green sector. This is the part of the track where I really do seem to be rather quick, because, I mean, you can visually see how I'm right on the back of my teammate already, and on the replay camera there's already a bit of a gap back to the car behind. And yeah, it really was that middle sector where I felt I was quicker than the AI, but elsewhere, as I mentioned, especially around this final corner that we're coming up to, I'm not quite sure what it was, but the run out of the chicane and the full throttle long right-hander onto the back straight, wasn't really quite sure. Just having a little bit of a fiddle with the brake pressure as well at this point. It wasn't feeling perfect to my liking, and I always seem to tweak around with it at some point or another. It's actually a move being made for the lead up ahead of us, which is the only interesting thing that happened down this turn 1, because I have mentioned this a few times, and I know they're all AI and it doesn't really matter, but I do try to play a team game. I don't want to make a stupid dive bomb on my teammate and end up taking us both out. So I did sit behind him perhaps a little bit more than I would have with anyone else through that first sector, and then I ran slightly wide up the top of the hill and I get a slowdown penalty. I mean, I ran wide and lost time anyway, and I wasn't really sure that I had all 4 wheels off the track either, so I thought that was a bit harsh, but I do get away with that one. There was quite a few in Algarve as well, so it's something I seem to be getting quite a lot lately. But I do get away with that one because it seemed to go away in the braking zone, and I didn't actually lose that much time. I dropped off the back of my teammate a little bit, but there was quite a gap behind me to the next car back anyway, and yeah, we haven't lost any track position, so that's the main thing. So we can just settle down now and try and catch up with the car in front, which, as I've mentioned a fair few times already, is my teammate. I had a really good run out of the first sector, and I had a little bit of a look to going up the inside of my teammate up the hill, but not the best place to overtake, so I did back out of it. I actually backed out of it a bit too much, tagged in the grass and dropping back quite a bit, and I tagged the grass again as I come through the S's, but I do manage to keep it pointing straight, which is better than I managed a few times in practice. And once again, just like on lap 1, I was getting a little bit caught out about how early the AI were braking, so I managed to brake late around the outside and take the position on the exit, running half a car over the curb. And I'll tell you what, I probably make more unintentional overtakes than I do intentional overtakes on this game, because I really wasn't expecting that to happen. So we're up into P4 now, and I could have sworn that was a corner cut on the chicane, but that's not a slowdown timer, so yeah, interesting. But we're up into P4, and we're chasing down a podium up next, and now comes another boring bit where I don't know what to say, because we're just going down the pitch straight, and there's not a lot happening. Although we do set a personal best lap, which, that's a good thing, I suppose. There's a little bit of jockeying for position going on ahead of me, which is a good thing. If the AI can fight themselves, that means that I can certainly get involved, and that's exactly what I do straight away. The blue car was very slow on the over the hairpin, so I have his position, thank you very much. The red and white car in front of me, the number 2 car that we've... I wonder if that's the same driver that was in the very first episode of this series at Knockkill, that I mentioned. Possibly. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, we had a look at trying to overtake him, and it didn't go too well, and then I got another slowdown timer in the same place, or in similar place as before. But fortunately, once again, I do manage to get away with it, although I think I may have hindered my teammate slightly, and he's now dropped back a couple of positions. So I'm still running third, and I think I've actually got half a chance of winning this race. I've, 6 laps, so I've made it out from 10th to 3rd place, and I'm not exactly a long way off the lead. If I can manage to get past this number 2 car without getting a slowdown penalty, although saying that, I was running a little bit wide there on that exit curb, and that's a bit harsh, because when you get it and it goes onto a long straight, you have to lift off for so long in order for it to go away. We've lost 1 position already, and he's off in the distance, and then it disappears and we can put our foot down, but we lose another position and then another position. So yeah, this is certainly an instance of, we actually nearly lose the position to our teammate, almost have to go defensive on him in the first corner. I think that's definitely a place where I should have just taken the 2-second penalty, to be honest, because that's definitely cost me more than 2 seconds. I've lost three on-track positions, and the amount of time that's between me and the guy in third, you can probably tell on your screen actually by the gaps, but I can't quite read it on my preview window. It doesn't help when half a lap later I make another mistake and lose a bit of time. My teammate actually has a look up the inside into the hairpin, but I've been making moves around the outside all day long. I wasn't worried about being outbroken into there. I have a very good run on the blue car around the long right-hander. I think I might have slightly tagged him going through that corner, and have a look up the inside into the next corner, but I'm just not close enough and I don't brake late enough. So now we come back into the chicane where I've just got to try and get a good run, and I really cut the corner that time, but that's not a penalty. That was certainly an apex you could get away with cutting, and on the final corner I just didn't have the drive off of it to get close enough into the slipstream in order to make a move down into turn 1, and we're now on the last lap of the race, and I am only down in 6th position. I mean, I'm still up 4 places from where I started, but halfway around lap 1 I was already up into 7th, and my teammates had quite a bad race. I think he was running up in 4th at one point, so he's dropped down quite a bit, 'cause he's now behind me. So we're running 6th and 7th, which is not great, but we've had a good run on the light blue car here, having almost a look to the inside up the hill. Not really going to work from that far back. Have a little bit of an early turn in for the quick chicane, using a lot of entry and exit curb, and we're really close now as we go into the hairpin. I tried to move to the inside because I know I've got great brakes, and they were even better than I thought they were, because I completely ran into the back of him and span him out. So I'm sorry about that. I mean, it's an AI at the end of the day. I try and race clean, but I've been given an unfair penalty. In my opinion, I think the penalties have been a little bit unfair and a little bit harsh. So I felt bad, but I'm not going to stop and wait for him. He was going to end up coming last. And I was actually trying to put the moves on the red and blue car into the final few corners, and then he cut the chicane to keep the position, which I was very displeased with. So he come round the final corner, and I think I should have still managed to get up to 4th. I still might, as we enter the slipstream, pull out as we cross the line, but I didn't quite make it. So that is a 5th position finish for us, and the guy that I spun out did unfortunately finish down in last place. It's not the guy that finished 7th, it was in fact his teammate. So yeah, that was it for Catalunya. A bit of a topsy-turvy race. I haven't had the best start to the season, 2 rounds in, and I am down in 7th, which is in the bottom half of the table. There's only 12 drivers. So anyway, yeah, that is it for this video. Go and leave a comment if you've got something to say about this video. I know I've certainly had quite a lot to say about this video. If you did enjoy the video, hit that like button. And yeah, thanks for watching. And come and join me again in the next round when we'll be going to Donington. Go back to Donington, as we went there also earlier in the previous UK series. But that is it. Until the next one.